Let's face it, few things sting quite like realizing that someone you care about is pulling away. One day, everything feels smooth and connected, and the next, it's like they've flipped a switch, shutting you out entirely. The warmth is gone, replaced by cold indifference. You can't help but wonder, what happened? What did I do wrong? You replay every interaction, obsessively analyzing your words and actions, convinced that if you had just done more, been better, tried harder, maybe things wouldn't have turned out this way. Sound familiar? You're not alone. This is a moment that tests not just your emotions, but your sense of self-worth. And if you've ever felt the gnawing urge to fix things, to send one more text, to accidentally bump into them, to over-explain yourself, then you've fallen into a trap most people don't even realize they're setting for themselves. Here's the truth. Chasing after someone who has chosen to pull away doesn't bring them closer. It drives them further. You may believe that your efforts to reconnect are acts of love or determination, but to them, it reads as desperation. And desperation, it's the fastest way to lose their respect. But don't despair. There's a better way. A way to reclaim your power, restore your self-worth, and shift the dynamic entirely. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about embodying Stoicism, stepping back and focusing inward. It's about creating the kind of growth and self-respect that not only makes them regret pulling away, but makes you stronger, more independent, and more fulfilled in the process. Think about this for a moment. What if the key isn't to chase them, but to let them feel the weight of your absence? What if instead of pouring all your energy into fixing the relationship, you poured it into yourself? Imagine how powerful it would feel to stand strong, unshaken by their withdrawal, and confident in your ability to thrive with or without their validation. This is your journey to reclaiming your strength. Each step builds upon the last, creating a transformation that will leave them questioning their decision to distance themselves. By the end of this, not only will they regret pulling away, you'll have become someone so confident, so magnetic, they'll wonder how they ever let you go in the first place. Let's dive in. Step 1. Embrace emotional armor. When someone distances themselves, it's easy to let their actions shake you to your core. Their withdrawal feels personal, as if it's a reflection of your worth. But let me ask you this. Why would you let someone else's indecision dictate your value? Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own emotions, reactions, and mindset, and to let go of what we cannot. Their behavior, out of your hands, your response, entirely within your power. This is where emotional armor comes into play. Think of it as a protective shield, one that keeps you grounded and steady no matter what storms come your way. Emotional armor doesn't mean you stop caring or turn into a stone-cold person. It means you stop letting their actions control your inner peace. You don't react to every breadcrumb of attention or every cold shoulder. You remain calm, confident, and unshaken. Let me put this into perspective. Imagine a ship on the ocean. No matter how rough the waves get, the ship stays afloat because it's built to weather the storm. That's the kind of resilience emotional armor gives you. When they pull away, you don't sink into despair or scramble to get closer. Instead, you stay steady, knowing that their actions don't define your worth. Why is this so important? Because people are drawn to stability. They respect those who don't crumble under pressure or lash out in emotional chaos. When you embrace emotional armor, you send a powerful message. I am strong. My worth is not up for debate. Whether you stay or go, I remain whole. Here's a challenge. The next time you feel the urge to react, whether it's to send that text, stalk their social media, or overthink their silence, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting out of confidence or am I reacting out of fear? If it's fear, choose a different path. Choose stillness. Choose strength. Let them feel the absence of your reaction. This isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about protecting your inner peace. You're not a puppet dancing to the strings of their mixed signals. You're the one holding the strings, choosing your actions deliberately and with purpose. And think about this. How often have you let someone else's behavior ruin your day? How often have you spiraled into self-doubt because of someone else's inconsistency? Isn't it time to take back control? Here's an affirmation to guide you. My worth is unshakable. Write it down. Repeat it to yourself whenever doubt creeps in. Let it become a part of your inner dialogue. This isn't just a mantra, it's a declaration of independence, a reminder that your happiness and peace are not dependent on someone else's actions. Now, you might be thinking, but what if they think I don't care? Good. Let them wonder. Let them sit with the reality that you're not going to chase after them or beg for their attention. Because here's the truth. People value what they have to work for. When you stand firm in your emotional armor, you become someone worth working for. And even if they don't come back, what have you lost? Someone who didn't respect your boundaries or see your worth. That's not a loss, that's a gain. You're making space for people who truly value you. Remember, Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose your response, no matter how someone else behaves. When you embrace emotional armor, you reclaim your power. You become unshaken, unbreakable, and undeniably magnetic. So here's your first step. Build your emotional armor. Let it protect you from the sting of their distance. Let it remind you that your worth isn't something they get to decide. And most importantly, let it free you from the exhausting cycle of chasing validation. This is just the beginning. Stick with me, because the next step is where you start to cut off the ties that keep you tethered to their approval. If you're ready to embrace this journey of transformation, stay tuned for the next step. And if this resonates with you, let me know in the comments, what does emotional armor mean to you? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more powerful insights, and share this with anyone who needs to hear it. Together, we're reclaiming our worth and building lives rooted in strength, not desperation. See you in the next step. Step 2. Cut off the craving. Now that you've built your emotional armor and taken the first step toward reclaiming your power, it's time to tackle one of the most difficult parts of this journey, cutting off the craving. Let's get real here. How many times have you caught yourself reaching for your phone, tempted to send a just checking in text, or scrolling through their social media, searching for any sign that they might still care? It's an instinct that feels impossible to ignore, like a fire burning inside you, consuming your thoughts and energy. But here's the truth. This craving isn't helping you. In fact, it's holding you back. Stoicism reminds us to examine our impulses and ask, is this serving me or is it controlling me? When you crave their attention, you're giving away your power. You're saying, I need you to validate me. And that neediness, it repels them. It pushes them further away. So let's break it down. Why do we crave their attention so badly? It's because we've tied our sense of worth to their approval. We believe that if they respond, if they notice us, if they come back, then we'll feel whole again. But let me ask you this. Do you really want your happiness to hinge on someone else's whim? What happens to your sense of self when they continue to ignore you? The craving doesn't fill the void, it deepens it. It's like drinking salt water. When you're thirsty, the more you drink, the thirstier you become. Cutting off the craving is about breaking free from this cycle. It's about recognizing that your worth is not dependent on their attention. This step isn't easy. It requires discipline and self-awareness. But it's one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Every time you resist the urge to reach out, you're reclaiming a piece of your power. You're telling yourself, I don't need their validation to feel whole. Here's how you start. The next time you feel the impulse to check their social media, to send that text, or to find some excuse to run into them, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I really looking for here? Chances are you're not just looking for their attention, you're looking for reassurance. You're looking for proof that you matter. But let me tell you something, you don't need them to confirm your value. Your worth isn't up for negotiation. Instead of feeding the craving, redirect that energy inward. Do something that brings you joy or fulfillment. Maybe it's hitting the gym, starting a creative project, or spending time with people who uplift you. Every time you choose yourself over the craving, You're building a life that doesn't revolve around their attention. And that, my friend, is the ultimate power move. Think about this. What if instead of chasing their attention, you became someone they couldn't help but notice? Someone who is so focused on their own growth, their own happiness, that they start to wonder, what's changed? That's the energy you're cultivating when you cut off the craving. You're not just taking back your power, you're becoming magnetic. Now, let me address the fear that often comes up in this step. You might worry that if you stop reaching out, they'll forget about you entirely. But here's the thing. People don't miss what's always there. They miss what they can't have. By stepping back and cutting off the craving, you're creating space. Space for them to notice your absence. Space for them to question their choices. And most importantly, space for you to grow into the confident, self-assured person you're meant to be. Here's a mantra to carry with you. I don't need them to feel complete. Say it to yourself whenever the craving strikes. Write it down, put it on your mirror, repeat it until it feels like second nature. Because when you truly believe it, you'll stop chasing and they'll start noticing. This process isn't about playing games or trying to manipulate them into coming back. It's about choosing yourself. It's about breaking free from the need for external validation and finding strength within. When you cut off the craving, you're not just letting go of their attention, you're letting go of the power they hold over your emotions. Now, I want to challenge you. Take the next 48 hours and commit to cutting off the craving. No texts, no social media stalking, no accidental run-ins. Use that time to pour your energy into yourself. Journal your thoughts, set new goals, or simply enjoy the peace that comes from not chasing someone who isn't reciprocating. You'll be amazed at how empowering it feels to take control of your own narrative. If this step resonates with you, show your commitment by liking this video and commenting number 1 below. Let's see how many of us are ready to stop chasing and start standing in our power. And if you're finding value in this journey, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next step. It's going to take everything we've built so far and amplify it even further. Together, we're not just reclaiming our worth, we're redefining what it means to be strong, independent, and unstoppable. Remember, cutting off the craving isn't about them, it's about you. It's about building a life that is full, fulfilling, and entirely your own. So let's do this. Let's take back our power, one choice at a time. You've got this. See you in the next step. Step 3. Reverse the game in silence. By now, you've embraced emotional armor and started cutting off the craving for their attention. You're rediscovering your strength and slowly reclaiming control over your emotional state. But now it's time for a bold move, a move that shifts the entire dynamic. Silence. Not the awkward, passive kind, but intentional silence. This step is about reversing the game entirely, making them feel the weight of your absence while you remain grounded and unshaken. Silence is powerful. It's a statement. It's your way of saying, I don't need to explain myself. I don't need your validation. I am perfectly fine without you. Think about how often we feel the urge to fill the silence, to text, to call, to initiate some form of contact just to feel connected. But when you do that, what are you really achieving? Are you reestablishing connection? Or are you giving them the comfort of knowing you're still there, waiting? When you remain silent, you send a very different message. You're no longer playing by their rules or seeking their attention. You're creating space for them to notice your absence, and space for you to focus on your own growth. This silence isn't passive, it's deliberate and empowering. It's not about ignoring them out of spite or playing games. It's about stepping back, recalibrating, and showing yourself and them that your world doesn't revolve around their presence. Think of silence as a mirror. When you pull back, they're left to reflect on their own actions. Without your constant messages, your reassurance, or your presence, they're forced to sit with their own thoughts. And often that silence is louder than any words you could say. They begin to wonder, why aren't they reaching out? What changed? Have I lost them? This shift in the dynamic can be incredibly powerful because it places the focus back on them, leaving them questioning the very thing they might have taken for granted, your availability. This step may feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry, what if they don't notice? What if they move on? But let me ask you this. If they don't notice your absence, if they're perfectly content with you fading away, then is this someone you want to chase? Stoicism teaches us to value our inner peace above external outcomes. If they don't recognize your value in silence, then they likely never appreciated it in presence. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. This isn't just about making them notice you again. It's about reversing the emotional dependency that often accompanies relationships where one person pulls away. When you remain silent, you're breaking the cycle of overgiving. You're refusing to feed into the push and pull dynamic that leaves you drained and unfulfilled. Imagine for a moment that your silence is like a force field. It's a protective barrier that keeps you grounded and prevents their actions, or lack of actions, from penetrating your sense of peace. This is where Stoicism becomes your greatest ally. Instead of reacting impulsively to their withdrawal, you respond with stillness and self-control. You reclaim your power by doing the very thing they least expect, nothing. Here's the beautiful thing about silence. It gives you space to breathe, to think, and to reconnect with yourself. Without the distraction of their responses or lack thereof, you can focus on what truly matters. Your goals, your passions, and your personal growth. You can pour your energy into becoming the best version of yourself, someone who is confident, fulfilled, and independent. And trust me, that kind of energy is magnetic. While you're living your life in this newfound silence, they're left to grapple with the consequences of their distance. They start to notice the gap you've left behind. They may not say it out loud, but they'll feel it. And that feeling, it's a powerful motivator. When someone realizes they can no longer take you for granted, it shifts their perception. Suddenly, you're not the person they can casually overlook. You're the person they start to miss. But remember, silence isn't about waiting for them to come back. It's about using this time to become someone so grounded and strong that whether they come back or not, you'll be fine. You're not sitting around hoping for a text or analyzing their social media posts for clues. You're building a life so full and satisfying that their presence or absence becomes secondary. This shift in focus is liberating. You're no longer trapped in the exhausting cycle of trying to make them notice you. Instead, you're redirecting that energy into something far more valuable, yourself. And here's the irony, they're far more likely to notice you when you stop trying so hard to be noticed. Silence creates intrigue. It sparks curiosity. And when combined with the work you're doing on yourself, it becomes a powerful tool for reversing the dynamic. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you prioritized yourself over someone else's validation? When was the last time you allowed silence to work in your favor instead of fearing it? This is your opportunity to change that. By choosing silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I am enough with or without their attention. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't about playing hard to get or trying to manipulate their emotions. It's about standing firm in your self-worth. It's about refusing to chase someone who isn't reciprocating your energy. And if they do come back, it will be because they recognize the value you bring, not because you begged for their attention. As you navigate this step, remind yourself of this truth. People don't miss what's always there. They miss what they can't have. Your silence creates space for them to feel your absence and for you to rediscover your strength. It's a win-win. And if they don't notice, then you've lost nothing and gained everything by choosing yourself. So embrace the quiet. Let your silence speak volumes about your confidence and independence. Trust that this step is not only reversing the game, but also setting the foundation for a stronger, more self-assured version of yourself. And that, in itself, is the ultimate win. Stay with me as we continue this journey. The next step will take the distance you've created and transform it into something even more powerful, a presence that is captivating, intriguing, and unforgettable. You won't want to miss it. Step 4. Fade out of sight. You've embraced emotional armor, cut off the craving, and started reversing the game with silence. By now, you're beginning to reclaim your sense of self-worth and independence. But here's where things get even more transformative. It's time to fade out of sight. This step is the physical reflection of everything you've been building internally. It's not just about going quiet, it's about intentionally reducing your presence in their world. Let's face it, when you're always around, texting, calling, showing up, you make yourself predictable. Predictability doesn't inspire curiosity, it inspires complacency. When someone knows they can count on you to be there no matter what, they stop valuing your presence. It becomes a given, not a privilege. So the question is, why would you let anyone take you for granted? Fading out of sight isn't about being cold or rude. It's about making them feel the space you're creating. It's about showing them that you're not going to revolve your life around someone who isn't making the effort to keep you in theirs. And most importantly, it's about reclaiming that space for yourself to grow, to heal, and to focus on the things that truly matter. When you fade out of sight, you're not just stepping back, you're stepping into your power. You're creating a sense of mystery, a gap that they can't ignore. People don't miss what's constantly in front of them. They miss what's absent. They start to notice what they've lost when they no longer have easy access to it. This is why fading out of sight is so effective. It forces them to confront the reality of your absence. Let me ask you this. How often have you tried to maintain a connection by being overly available? How often have you checked their social media, hoping to find a clue about their thoughts or feelings? And how has that worked out for you? If you're like most people, it's only left you feeling drained and unappreciated. So why not try something different? Why not step back and let them come to terms with the space you've left behind? Here's the truth. When you fade out of sight, you're not disappearing. You're redirecting your energy. You're taking the time and attention you once gave to them and investing it in yourself. This isn't about playing games, it's about prioritizing your own growth and happiness. It's about showing them and yourself that your life doesn't revolve around their acknowledgement. But let's be real, this isn't always easy. You might worry, what if they forget about me? What if they find someone else? But think about this. If fading out of sight is all it takes for them to move on, then they were never truly invested in the first place. And if they do notice your absence, that's when the real shift begins. When you're no longer constantly visible, they start to wonder, why aren't they reaching out? What's changed? Have they moved on? That curiosity is powerful. It shifts the dynamic, making them the one who starts to question, to miss, to regret. And in the meantime, you're focusing on building a life that doesn't depend on their attention. So how do you fade out of sight in practice? Start by reducing your visibility. Stop liking their posts, checking their stories, or commenting on their updates. Let them notice the absence of your digital presence. If they reach out, don't feel the need to respond immediately. Let them wonder what's occupying your time. Be polite, but don't overshare. Keep your answers light and intriguing, leaving them curious rather than satisfied. And remember, fading out of sight doesn't mean you stop living. In fact, it's the opposite. Use this time to focus on your own goals, passions, and relationships. Pick up a new hobby, reconnect with friends, or start a project you've been putting off. When you pour your energy into yourself, you're not just fading out of their sight, you're becoming someone worth noticing. Someone whose life is full and vibrant. Think about this for a moment. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who waits in the background, hoping for scraps of attention? Or do you want to be someone who is so focused on their own growth and happiness that others are naturally drawn to them? Fading out of sight is your opportunity to choose the latter. Here's an affirmation to guide you. I am unforgettable. Say it to yourself whenever doubts creep in. Let it remind you that your presence is valuable and that fading out of sight isn't about disappearing. It's about creating space for your worth to shine. And trust the process. This step isn't about getting an immediate reaction. It's about resetting the balance of attention. When they realize you're no longer readily available, they'll start to notice what they've lost. They'll feel the impact of your absence, and that realization can be more powerful than any words you could say. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you ready to take this step? If this resonates with you, show your commitment by liking this video and commenting number 1 below. And if you're serious about building a life of confidence, independence, and self-worth, don't forget to subscribe. There's so much more to come, and you won't want to miss the next steps. Remember, fading out of sight isn't about punishing them, It's about prioritizing you. It's about stepping back so you can move forward stronger and more self-assured than ever. Let's keep building this strength together. See you in the next step. Step 5. Become an enigma. Now that you've faded out of sight, it's time to take the transformation even further by becoming an enigma. This step is where the true magic happens. You're no longer just someone they're curious about. You're someone they can't stop thinking about. When you become an enigma, you create an aura of mystery that is captivating, intriguing, and unforgettable. Think about this. People are drawn to what they don't fully understand. The moment you become unpredictable, the moment you stop revealing everything about yourself, you shift from being someone they take for granted to someone they can't quite figure out. That intrigue creates a pull, a magnetism that keeps them wondering about you long after you've stepped away. So how do you embody this enigmatic energy? It starts with pulling back from oversharing. If they reach out, don't spill every detail of your life. Keep your responses light and intriguing. For example, if they ask how you've been, avoid the temptation to give them a full update. Instead, say something like, "I've been working on some exciting things, how about you?" This simple shift keeps the focus balanced and leaves them curious about what's happening in your life. Becoming an enigma also means breaking free from predictability. If they've come to expect you to always respond instantly, change things up. Let your actions surprise them, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that shows you're no longer the person they can easily categorize. When they think they know exactly how you'll react, they stop paying attention. But when you keep them guessing, they're forced to take notice. Here's another crucial piece. Don't let them have full access to your time. Be selective about when and how you engage. This doesn't mean ignoring them or playing games. It means setting boundaries that prioritize your own life and growth. For instance, if they ask to meet up, don't always be available at the drop of a hat. Let them see that your time is valuable and that being with you is a privilege, not a given. One of the most powerful aspects of being an enigma is how it shifts the focus back onto you. Instead of expending all your energy on wondering what they're thinking or feeling, you redirect that energy into becoming someone who is undeniably magnetic. This is where Stoicism becomes your guide. It teaches us to cultivate inner strength and focus on what we can control, our own growth, confidence, and actions. When you embody these principles, you naturally exude an enigmatic presence. Let's talk about the mindset shift that comes with this step. When you become an enigma, you're not just playing a role, you're stepping into your power. You're showing the world and yourself that you're more than someone who waits on the sidelines. You're someone with depth, ambition, and self-respect. And that energy is impossible to ignore. Imagine how it feels to know that you're no longer an open book, easily read and forgotten. Instead, you're a puzzle, one they can't quite solve. They start to wonder, what's changed? Why do I feel this pull toward them now? And the best part, you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself. You're becoming someone who lives authentically, who doesn't need to share every detail to feel validated. This transformation is about subtlety. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your worth. You don't need to shout it from the rooftops. You show it through your actions, your presence, and your boundaries. You're no longer chasing their attention, and that shift in energy is magnetic. But let me ask you this. What would it feel like to truly embrace this level of self-assurance? To know that you don't have to prove your value to anyone because it's already clear in how you carry yourself. That's the power of becoming an enigma. You're not just someone they miss, you're someone they admire, respect, and can't quite figure out. This isn't about manipulation or creating false intrigue. It's about stepping into the version of yourself that is genuinely confident and self-sufficient. It's about building a life that is so rich and fulfilling that their curiosity is a natural response to your energy. You're not hiding who you are, you're revealing it in layers, allowing them to see just enough to keep them intrigued. Think of yourself as a story with chapters they haven't read yet. They don't need to know everything about you right away. Let them wonder. Let them imagine. That gap between what they know and what they don't is where intrigue lives. And here's the beauty of becoming an enigma. It's not just about them. It's about you. It's about reclaiming your narrative and showing yourself that you are worth the effort it takes to uncover. When you stop giving everything away so easily, you're not only creating intrigue, you're setting a standard for how you deserve to be treated. So here's your challenge. In the coming days, practice holding back. Resist the urge to overshare. Let your actions speak louder than your words. And most importantly, focus on becoming someone who is deeply fulfilled by their own life. When you embody this energy, you're not just becoming an enigma to them, you're becoming someone you're proud to be. This step is about creating a shift in how they perceive you. They're no longer looking at someone who is overly available or predictable. They're seeing someone with depth, someone worth understanding. And that realization, it's unforgettable. Stay with me, because in the next step, we're going to take this newfound strength and turn it into emotional armor that can't be broken. This journey is far from over, and the best is yet to come. Step 6. Let them reach for what they can't have. You've come so far. You've embraced emotional armor, cut off the craving, faded out of sight, and mastered the art of silence. You've become an enigma that they can't ignore. Now it's time for the final and most transformative step, letting them reach for what they can't have. This is where you fully reclaim your power, set your standards, and redefine how you allow others to treat you. Let's get one thing straight. Your time, energy, and presence are valuable. They're not something that should be given freely to someone who doesn't appreciate them. This step is about standing firm in that truth and letting them realize the privilege of being close to you. It's not about playing hard to get, it's about setting boundaries and sticking to them. It's about showing them and yourself that you are no longer someone who can be taken for granted. When someone pulls away, it's easy to fall into the trap of overcompensating. You might find yourself chasing after their attention, trying to prove your worth, or bending over backward to make them stay. But let me ask you this, what does that achieve? Does it make them respect you more? Does it make them value your presence? Or does it reinforce the idea that they can have you whenever they want, with minimal effort? This step flips the dynamic on its head. Instead of chasing, you're stepping back and letting them do the work. Instead of proving your worth, you're living it. You're showing them that being a part of your life is a privilege, not a guarantee. And if they want that privilege, they need to step up and meet your standards. So how do you let them reach for what they can't have? It starts with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're guidelines for how you deserve to be treated. When you set boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're creating space for respect, trust, and mutual effort to thrive. For example, if they reach out after weeks of silence, don't immediately drop everything to respond. Let them see that your life doesn't revolve around their attention. Respond calmly and confidently, but don't make it easy for them to slip back into your life without effort. Here's a powerful mindset shift. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are someone who deserves to be prioritized, respected, and valued. When you let them reach for what they can't have, you're sending a clear message. If you want to be in my life, you have to earn it. But let's be honest, this step isn't always easy. You might feel tempted to lower your standards, to give them another chance, or to accept the bare minimum just to have them back in your life. But think about this. If you settle for less than you deserve, what kind of relationship are you building? One based on respect and mutual effort, or one where they know they can put in the least amount of work and still have access to you? When you let them reach, you're giving them an opportunity to prove their intentions. If they're serious about rebuilding the connection, they'll rise to the occasion. They'll put in the effort to show you that they value you. But if they're not willing to meet your standards, that's not your loss, it's theirs. And that clarity is empowering. Here's a question to reflect on. What does it say about someone who only notices your value when you stop giving them easy access? And more importantly, what does it say about you when you stand firm in your worth and refuse to settle? This step is about aligning your actions with your values. It's about becoming someone who is so grounded in their self-worth that others have no choice but to respect it. Now, let's talk about the transformation that happens when you fully embody this step. When you let them reach for what they can't have, you're no longer the person they can rely on to chase after them. You're no longer the one who settles for crumbs of attention. Instead, you're someone who radiates confidence, independence, and self-respect. And that energy, it's magnetic. When they see you thriving without them, when they realize they no longer have the easy access they once did, it forces them to reevaluate their choices. They start to question, what did I lose? Why didn't I value them when I had the chance? And if they do come back, it's because they've seen your worth and are willing to put in the effort to earn a place in your life. But here's the best part. Whether they come back or not, you've already won. You've built a life that doesn't depend on their presence. You've created a sense of fulfillment that no one can take away. And you've shown yourself that you are capable of standing strong, no matter what. So here's your final affirmation for this step. I am worth the effort. Say it to yourself every day. Write it down. Let it become the foundation of how you approach every relationship in your life. Because when you truly believe that you're worth the effort, you'll stop accepting anything less. Now, if this resonates with you, let me know by liking this video and commenting number 1 below. I want to see how many of you are ready to stand in your power and let others reach for the privilege of being in your life. And don't forget to subscribe, because this journey isn't just about reclaiming your worth, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. Together, we're creating a life of confidence, strength, and unstoppable growth. You've done the work. You've taken the steps. Now it's time to let them see what they've been missing. You're no longer chasing, you're choosing. And that choice is where your power lies. Let's keep building this strength together. The best is yet to come. Step 7. Reclaim your power. You've reached the final step in this journey, reclaiming your power. This is the culmination of everything you've worked toward. It's about taking everything you've learned, every shift you've made, and embodying the confident, self-assured person you've become. This isn't just a step, it's a transformation. Reclaiming your power begins with a realization. You were never powerless to begin with. The moments of desperation, the times you felt small or unworthy, they weren't reflections of who you are. They were temporary illusions created by misplaced focus. Your power was never in their hands. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to see it, to choose it, and to own it. So what does reclaiming your power look like? It's not about revenge or proving a point. It's not about making them regret their actions, though they very well might. It's about stepping fully into your worth, living your life with intention, and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. It's about becoming someone whose happiness is self-sustained, whose peace is unshaken, and whose energy is magnetic. One of the most important aspects of reclaiming your power is recognizing that your value is not tied to how someone else treats you. Think about it. How often have you allowed someone's behavior to dictate your sense of worth? How often have you felt unworthy because someone pulled away or didn't see your value? Reclaiming your power means breaking that cycle. It means understanding that their actions are a reflection of them, not you. This is where Stoicism becomes a guiding principle. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and to let go of what we cannot. You cannot control how they feel about you, how they act, or whether they choose to return, but you can control how you respond. You can choose to respond with strength, grace, and confidence. You can choose to build a life that is full and fulfilling, regardless of their presence or absence. Reclaiming your power also means setting standards and holding to them. When you know your worth, you no longer tolerate behavior that undermines it. You don't chase after people who don't prioritize you. You don't settle for relationships that leave you feeling small or unseen. Instead, you set the bar high, not because you're difficult or demanding, but because you've worked hard to become someone who deserves nothing less. Here's a question to ask yourself. What kind of energy do I want to attract into my life? If the answer is love, respect, and effort, then that's the energy you need to embody. Reclaiming your power means becoming a person who radiates those qualities, someone who attracts relationships that are aligned with their highest self. When you carry yourself with confidence and self-respect, you don't just attract better relationships, you elevate every aspect of your life. Let's talk about the mindset shift that happens when you reclaim your power. You stop asking, why did they pull away? What did I do wrong? And start asking, what do I truly want for myself? How can I create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling? This shift is profound. It moves you from a place of lack to a place of abundance. You stop focusing on what you've lost and start focusing on what you're building. When you reclaim your power, you also let go of the need for closure. You realize that you don't need someone else to explain their actions or validate your feelings in order to move forward. Closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you. It comes from deciding that you deserve peace, regardless of their role in your life. It's about choosing to move forward, not because they've made amends, but because you've chosen to prioritize your own well-being. So think about the version of yourself you're becoming. This version doesn't wait around for someone to see their worth, they live it every day. They don't chase, they attract. They don't crumble in the face of rejection, they rise stronger. This version of you is unstoppable, not because they're invulnerable, but because they've embraced their power to create their own happiness. And here's the beauty of reclaiming your power. It's not about them at all. It's about you. It's about realizing that you are the architect of your own life. You get to decide what you tolerate, what you pursue, and what you let go of. You get to decide how you show up in the world and what kind of energy you bring to your relationships. That realization is freeing. It's transformative. And it's yours. This is your moment. The culmination of everything you've worked for. Reclaiming your power isn't a single action, it's a way of being. It's the daily choice to prioritize yourself, to live with intention, and to honor your worth. It's the realization that you don't need anyone else to complete you, because you are already whole. So ask yourself, what does reclaiming my power mean to me? What kind of life do I want to create? Then, take a deep breath and step fully into the person you've always been capable of becoming. You're not chasing, you're choosing. You're not waiting, you're living. And that's power. This is just the beginning of your journey. The world opens up when you choose yourself. Take that step forward and never look back. The best is yet to come. You've made it through the steps that weren't just about making someone regret pulling away, but about something far greater. Reclaiming your power, your worth, and your life. This journey wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Each step built upon the last, guiding you away from desperation and toward a version of yourself that is confident, grounded, and undeniably magnetic. Think about where you started. Perhaps you felt small, wondering why they distanced themselves, questioning your worth, and trying to fix something that wasn't yours to fix. But look at you now. You've embraced emotional armor, silenced the craving, faded out of sight, and become a mystery worth uncovering. You've learned to let them reach for what they can't have while reclaiming your power every step of the way. This transformation isn't just about relationships, it's about how you approach life. You've shifted from focusing on external validation to cultivating inner strength. You've embodied Stoicism, mastering the art of detachment and resilience. And as a result, you become someone who doesn't just attract love and respect, you command it. Let me leave you with this. Your worth is not negotiable. It's not defined by who stays, who leaves, or who comes back. It's defined by you, by how you choose to live, by the standards you set, and by the energy you bring to the world. You are whole as you are, with or without anyone's approval. So what's next? The steps you've taken aren't just temporary fixes. They're tools you can carry forward in every area of your life. Whether it's relationships, career, or personal growth, the principles you've embraced here will continue to serve you. Use them to build a life that reflects your strength, your values, and your potential. And remember, this journey doesn't end here. Growth is ongoing, and every day is an opportunity to step deeper into the person you're becoming. Take pride in the progress you've made, but don't stop now. Keep going, keep building, keep choosing yourself. If this journey has resonated with you, I invite you to continue it with us. Share your thoughts in the comments. What steps spoke to you the most? Write "I stand strong" below as a declaration of your transformation. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel so we can keep growing together. Thank you for being here, for taking this journey, and for choosing to invest in yourself. You're not just reclaiming your power, you're creating a life that reflects your true worth. And that's a life worth living. Here's to your strength, your growth, and the incredible person you're becoming. Stay strong, and I'll see you in the next chapter of your journey.